I've been feeling a little bit overwhelmed lately and felt like I needed a project that could ease me back into sewing without giving myself too big of a project. I have this scrap denim and I've been seeing these denim belt bags on my Pinterest for a while, waiting for the right time to make one. This feels like the perfect project to ease me back into sewing after my vacation, so let's get started. For this project, I'm going to need 2 big square pieces for the front of the belt, 4 pieces to make up the ties in the back, 1 small piece to act as a fake wraparound piece on the front. In the images I've seen, the pocket seems to be made up of just a simple flat pocket bag, but I want a bit more space, so I'm going to be making a cargo pocket. For that, I'll need 1 rectangle piece, 1 long piece for the sides, 1 back piece, 2 pocket flaps, and 2 snap buttons. I start by marking out all of the pieces for the belt. I marked out around my waist for the big middle piece, and then 2 times around my waist, plus a bit extra for my ties. And then cut up all my pieces for the belt. I then realized I still hadn't made my ties for the belt quite long enough for my liking, so I cut up 2 extra pieces and then sewed them together to the rest of the ties like you would bias tape. I then had my ties, my center front piece, and for the middle piece. First, I prepared my middle piece to sit on top, which I folded in on itself and pressed down. I then placed it on top of my center front piece, making sure it was placed in the middle. And then top stitched it down. Next, I worked on my ties. So I sewed 2 pieces right sides together, cut off the angles and excess seam allowance, and then really struggled to flip this inside out, but finally got it in the end. Repeated this process for the other tie and then gave both ties a good press and then proceeded to top stitch them both. I then started preparing my cargo pocket. I cut out a rectangle 18 centimeters long and 27 centimeters wide. I then marked the half of it and then 2 centimeters on each side of the middle point. I then folded from that outer line into the middle point on both sides and then pressed them down. Next, I pinned that middle in place and then placed the long strap, which was going to be the side pieces, along the edge, right sides together, making sure to snip the corners to easily maneuver the piece. Which I then sewed down all along the sides and then flipped it inside out. Next, I overlocked the top and then folded it down by 1 centimeter, giving it a good press. I then sewed down that top part and also made sure to get my top stitching in for the middle front part of the pocket, and then top stitched all along the edge as well. Next step was to fold the edges in on the sides by 1 centimeter and press down. I will admit it was a bit hard to maneuver the sides of this. I then placed my pocket on top of the fabric and marked around with 1 centimeter seam allowance where I was going to cut out the back side. Then folded in the edges of the back pocket piece by 1 centimeter and pressed. I then added the edges of the sides and the back pocket edges that I just pressed in, right sides together, and sewed down all along the sides of the entire pocket. I flipped it inside out and then realized I had kind of messed up on one of the sides so that the pocket wasn't sitting very flat. So I unpicked part of the back and then stitched it together again the next day as best as I could. It was looking much better, so I proceeded with top stitching along the sides and bottom as well. Next, it was time for the pocket flaps. I measured out the width of my bag and then cut out 2 pieces with seam allowance. I decided to make them about 10 centimeters in length, which seemed like a good position on the pocket bag. I then cut out the piece and then matched with the other one. I then sewed the two pieces right sides together, snipped the corners for less bulk, and then pressed out the corners with my scissors. When going to attach the pocket bag, I realized that I had completely forgotten to account for the part that gets attached to the belt. So I marked out how much extra space I needed and then cut out a small piece to attach to the top of the pocket bag. I could then attach the pocket bag to the extra length and stitch down. It was now time to assemble everything. I start by attaching the pocket bag right sides together onto the belt. Once that's sewn down, I attach the ties on each side and stitch those down as well. And then I could sandwich all the pieces in between the two center belt pieces. And stitch all along the sides, leaving an opening where the pocket bag is sticking out. I then flip the whole thing out and use my scissors again to press out the corners. Then gave everything a good press and top stitched all around the belt. Lastly, I needed to finish off the pocket opening with snap buttons. I probably should have done this earlier, but I cut out a small piece of interfacing to attach to the inside of the pocket bag. Next, I marked out where my buttons should go and used a little snap button kit to put them in place. And then repeated the same step for the pocket flap on the top. And then we're done. This is the perfect accessory for my big oversized shirts when I want to give a bit of a more fitted silhouette but still remain comfy. I've never made a cargo pocket before, but I actually think this turned out pretty well. The perfect project to launch me back into my sewing. The stark white thread against the dark denim gives the perfect amount of contrast and gives a level of detail that really elevates this pocket bag. I didn't even think to measure my iPhone when I was measuring out the pocket bag, but it just happened to be exactly the size of my phone, so that worked out perfectly. Let me know what projects you have going on, and if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.